I'm Benjamin Franklin, so grab a spot of tea and crumpets as we reflect on our history of our freedom. We take it back to Constance Marsh, as she has two guests from the French and Indian War.
Here we have two representatives from the French and Indian War, globally known as the 7 Years' War. Representing the French side, we have Claude de la Fay, who was first assistant to Marquis de Montcalm. And from the British side, we have military leader George Washington. Now we will hear a little bit about how the conflict began.
One of the main issues was definitely land. There was so much of it, and someone needed to claim it. Obviously, the best choice of that was for us. I mean, we were the reason the colonists were in the Americas anyways.
The French at least attempted to make peace with the Native Americans. We worked just as hard as you did, and we deserved the land. The Ohio County was just as much, if not more, ours as it was yours.
This dispute over the land led to many battles. George Washington went on at least 3 different British missions to take Fort Dunesque. All 3 missions ended in a defeat.
First time around, we didn't quite reach Fort Dunesque because we had to stop and build Fort Necessity.
The attack was ridiculous. We had so many casualties, and you also took many of our men captive. We still overpowered you when you came to Fort Dunesque.
We were powerful. General Edward Braddock was a great fighter, but sadly he perished in battle. He was killed during a surprise attack when about 300 French Canadians and Native Americans fired at the ranks of Braddock's army.
Braddock deserved the death that he got. He regarded the natives as inferiors and reserved to deal with them.
He was still a great commander. He commanded his troops bravely, something you could never do. And he was proud of his army.
Well, I don't know why he would be proud. You never beat us. We defeated you in every encounter. You are not as invincible as you think you are.
For our final attempt, you retreated. So technically, we weren't defeated. The fort was set on fire and you were all gone.
So what happened in the Battle of Fort William Henry? Both sides were at the Lake Champlain area, but how did it all begin? And who was the key power player in this occurrence?
So after the French failed to defeat us, we decided to go claim a little bit of territory.
Territory that was not rightfully yours.
Anyways, we created a fort known as Fort William Henry, which we created to serve as a base of our operations for future campaigns against the French. Overnight, the craziest thing happened. The natives were unhappy and they attacked us. They were mostly intoxicated with liquor, and we knew that we should not trust them.
Montcalm and other French officers nearly risked their lives in an attempt to put the end to the slaughter. So don't blame us for the Indians' irresponsibility.
Before we run out of time, let's cover the proclamation.
The proclamation was totally necessary. We didn't want the colonists to move past the Appalachians. That would just cause more conflict with the Indians, and we just can't deal with them again.
Well, maybe if you treated them with some respect and didn't always use violence against them.
This doesn't even concern you! But the colonists were not all happy about this matter. They defied the laws and headed west anyways.
Okay, well time's up. Catch you next time on Constance Crossfire.
For that, now we take it to our Declaration of Independence.
Lately, the members of Philadelphia Congress, instructed by the representative colonies, gradually edged towards a clean break. The task of drafting it fell to Thomas Jefferson, from Virginia and a lawyer at the age of 33 at the time. Despite his youth, he was a brilliant writer. After some debate and amendment, the Declaration of Independence was formally approved by the Congress on July 4, 1776. It might better have been called the Explanation of Independence. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote about natural rights or humankind rights, not just British rights, and he argued persuasively that because the king had flouted these rights, the colonists were justified in cutting their connection. He then set forth a long list of presumably tyrannous misdeeds by George III, or well known as grievances of the colonists. such as imposing taxes without representation, suspending trial by jury, abolishing valued laws, establishing a military dictatorship, and maintaining standing armies in peacetime. Because the Declaration of Independence, foreign aid could be solicited with greater hope of success.
A bloody good story. Now we'll take it to Lexington and Concord. Today we have confirmed reports that the fight between the British Army and the American militia have started. This was initiated at the town of Lexington, where some shots were fired. Reports confirmed that British General Gage sent Lieutenant Colonel Francis Smith together with 700 soldiers to destroy arms and ammunition suspected to be at the town of Concord. Reports also confirmed that the people at Concord have been advised about this for several days. People were ready. When the British approached the town, the bell started to alert the people, and the militia, estimated to be over 200 men, decided to move up to the high side of the river and let the British move into town. British took some militia artifacts that they destroyed and burned. When done, the militia waited for them on the road and started shooting them. Reports say that the British had suffered big loss. The militia had also suffered some losses, but their spirits were high. British have sent for reinforcements from Boston. I brought with me Lord North, a representative of the British. Mighty then, what do you think of the unconventional fighting that the American militia is using?
The American militia is fighting without honor. They are not following the protocol for fighting in an army, and there is no honor in setting up an ambush and shooting at soldiers from hidden places.
We had the first shot. We were fighting for a while until we decided to retreat and the British continued to Concord. Well, our leaders are good and brave. We cannot help it that your government is corrupt.
You won't even follow our orders. You won't even pay taxes. Every British citizen pays taxes. You can pay taxes too.
No taxation without representation.
Let's be civil here, Benny.
Obviously, we will never agree on this situation. So join me next time on The Benio Show. Our next story is about the Boston Tea Party. Take it away, Constance.
Historical day of December 16th, 1776. Several members of the Son of Liberty raided the Boston Harbor dressed as Mohawk Indians and dumped chests of tea into the harbor. This tea tax that was implemented created a monopoly for the British East India Tea Company.
How?
Thomas Hutchinson made sure that the tea arrived and didn't leave the harbor. They dressed up as Native Americans. They might as well have dressed up as Yo Mama. Follow them as they ran through the town with all the feathers on.
Let's go. Stop. Make sure the coast is clear.
Okay.
They finally got to the harbor. Maybe they can attempt to rebel.
Whoa.
Whoa!
We got the tea.
We got it!
In the harbor.
The Boston Tea Party caused an uproar. People were appalled that the Sons of Liberty would do something like this, but they sure did make their points.
We will now conclude with our story of the Treaty of Paris.
Thank you, Benjamin. We are privileged to have here today John Jay, an advocate of the Treaty of Paris, signed only 10 days ago. We are thrilled to have you here, John, and we congratulate you on your accomplishment.
Thank you, Clara. I am glad that the war is finally over, and that you have invited me here.
Just over a month ago, the victory at Yorktown challenged King George III's strategy and will for continuing on with the war. Many Britons were weary and ready to come to terms with the Americas when Lord North's ministry collapsed, temporarily ending the personal rule of King George III, while 3 peace negotiators gathered at Paris. Among these men was John Jay. John, you were given explicit instructions from Congress not to make separate peace and to consult with our French allies at every stage of the negotiation. But you did otherwise. Why?
We decided to act impulsively, for we could see that Congress was influenced by the French foreign...
was eager to destroy the British Empire and desired an independence for the colonies, but wanted to keep the colonies cooped up east of the Allegheny Mountains, for weak colonies would be easier to control and promote French interests and policies. but you were unwilling to play French's game. Why?
I was alert that France was unstable, and I saw signs that the Paris Foreign Office was going to betray America's interest to satisfy Spain. So I made a secret trip to London that speedily came to terms and created a preliminary treaty of peace in 1782, which has finally led to the final treaty of peace 10 days ago.
Thank you, John Jay, for your intriguing insight into the document that has rattled history with America's independence.
Delighted to be here, love.
Furthermore, the conditions of the Treaty of Paris. Britain has agreed to recognize us as an independent nation, in addition to stretching our boundaries from the Mississippi River on the west to the Great Lakes on the north, and Spanish Florida on the south. Congress gave Loyalists the property restored from the state legislators, and for debts owed by British creditors, the states have vowed to no longer put lawful obstacles in the way of their collection. Back to you, Benjamin, for more of today's headlines.
Folks, we'll see you next time with us here on Channel 16. Captive, we still overpowered you when you came to Fort Desquig. Shut up! Was it? What did you call it? What did you call it? Desquig.
Fort Duniske. How do you say that?
I don't know.
Duniske.
Oh, we're doing it by like all of her lines, then all my lines?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good idea.
To take Fort Duquesne. How do you say it?
Huh?
Duquesne.
You can say.
No.
No.
Duquesne?
Claire!
Claire, how do you say Fort Duquesne?
Fort Desquin. Fort Duniske.
Dunesque.